This is our golden russet apple. This is my favourite apple as a kid, and it still is one of my favourite actually. And you can see it's quite golden. These are probably almost ripe.
Shelf life?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good.
The citrus are doing really well.
Yep. So that hedge was already there.
Yeah.
It was smaller, but what I did is when we got the citrus, I just took one of those trees out. I took one out and planted citrus.
Yeah.
Then each year I'm pruning this hedge back more and more, like ruthless, to let the sun in here in winter.
Yeah.
So all the sun gets to the citrus because they need maximum sun, the winter sun, the maximum. And eventually what happened, this tree's only been here like 3 years actually.
Oh.
These ones have been here 4 years. So eventually in another 2 or 3 years maybe, these will kind of be joining up and those will be completely gone.
Yeah.
So eventually we'll end up with a citrus hedge.
Yeah.
Just a whole hedge of citrus. As a windbreak and as a... Yeah.
And the soil best suited for the citrus, is this volcanic soil?
I don't know what's best for citrus. I tend to... We had a workshop.
Discussion.
No, there's so much discussion.
I have.
Yeah, I don't do much of that. I just plant stuff.
Yeah.
And they grow.
Yeah.
And they look after themselves.
Yeah.
Unless you've got some really bad imbalance, like I don't worry about the pH.
Unless it's sandy soil.
If it's really bad, it's then you. And if it's poor soil, then I'll do it. But normally I just plant things, and they'll sort. You just plant. Yeah. And then nature will put into the soil what it needs.
Right, and get a response from the plant.
Yeah. And spend time in the garden so the plants know what you want.
Yeah.
And you know what the plants want. And you're working together to grow, and you're both working together as natures. Yeah. And there's no separation between us and the environment or the plant. We're all one.
Yeah. Right.
And then with, of course, biodynamics, you're taking that to a whole new level of holistic thinking, of understanding of what's going on. Yeah.
Right. Love it.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Are you going to do more?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all. That's accumulated a lot.
Yeah, I'm happy. So I breathe
taro.
Yeah. So I'll show you this. So this is taro. This is 18 months old, just under 18 months old. This food forest. And these were little pups to speak. Yeah. 18 months ago, taro.
How long does it take to mature?
Well, it's good. I mean, we could eat the leaves now, no problem. The root, I think I'd leave the root a bit longer.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I thought it liked more shade than what you got going on here. I thought it preferred a lot more shade than...
Doesn't? It's doing quite happy here.
Yeah.
It gets a bit of shade. It likes it wet. And the overflow from the water tank goes into this garden.
Oh, yeah.
And over there we've got the taro.
I thought it was only about the smell of the water.
Well, okay, you say that, but actually the water tank, the reason it's from the water tank, not just that it gets the water, but in winter we get frosts here.
Yeah.
Like they only go down to about 0 degrees, but anywhere between 4 degrees Celsius to 0 is enough to put ice on the grass and to kill things like tamarillo and knockback.
Oh yeah, our kids wiped that all the time.
So last winter we had 14 frosts here, which were between 0 and 4 degrees. But next to the water tank there, that water tank in winter, that big body of water keeps quite constant, really constant. So it's about 15 degrees. So if you've got 4 degrees here and 15 there, it's a heater. Yeah. And then I found that before I planted these, I observed that the effect from that would stop the frost out to about this far. That's why I planted that far. And what happened last winter is these ones which overhung out here did get a bit frost touched, but the main plant was in here and it was okay, and they just grew back.
More water tanks.
And then I thought, well, the shed, I mean, there's...
Well, they often grow near water.
So then I looked at the shed and that was working too, and I thought, why is that? It doesn't have the water. But then I worked out, normally when you have a frost at night, it's normally after a sunny day. And after a sunny day, a tin shed, the air in there is really hot. Yeah. And so the hot air, the heat from that air radiates out through the tin, and that had the same effect as the water tank actually. Yeah. So this is our subtropical food forest. We have the banana, the tamarillo, the taro. That one we had nasturtium on the ground. This one we had peanuts, which are growing quite well. They actually need a little bit more sun, but I'm favouring the taro because I got peanuts over here. And then we've got some other things in there, like we've got a coffee plant.
These are only peanuts.
Yeah, that's a peanut plant. But the ones in the full sun over here are actually doing better. But we'll get peanuts off there.
You've got coffee in there, did you?
Yeah. It's doing really well down there near the end. Do you want to see the coffee? Coffee plant?
Coffee plant? Necessary for me.
This is coffee here. It's just gone in. This is only less than 6 months old. It's really happy.
Oh yes, look at it.
Looks successful. Okay.
These flowers are already here, but we left them because it's covering ground cover.
Perhaps in 2 years, espresso.
You can eat the berries, the coffee berries, and evidently they're quite nice. It's not coffee, but it's evidently quite
and you
nice.
You can make all sorts of things with the outer plumish part.
And you can use the leaves. You can make it like a tea out of the coffee leaf, evidently. So we're going to try that.
We could do much more with coffee.
Yeah, yeah. So this is peanuts. They love this climate here, and they like this light friable soil we have here, the volcanic soil. They grow it commercially now in Dargaville, where they have that river flat silt, which is quite friable too, and the same climate as here.
Yeah, the lands had their peanuts in that river silt soil as well. Yeah.
And this is kumara.
Yeah.
We have 4 different varieties of kumara actually. We have some carrots and
different colours, roots. Yeah.
yeah. The kumara is like the sweet potato.
Yeah.
This is a really good spinach.
Yeah.
Magenta spring. The good thing about it is it's a rampant weed and it likes growing in really bad soil and very dry, harsh conditions where nothing else will grow.
Yeah.
And it's really delicious as a spinach.
I like it more than the real spinach.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But ours doesn't grow that high. It's like
Right.
like this.
No, it depends on the year.
Yeah, but it is delicious and beautiful with the
Yeah, and the small one leaves you can have in salad, and they're just so beautiful with the colour in a salad.
yeah.
But this grows like a weed. If you get one plant, it'll just self-seed everywhere. And it'll grow where nothing else will grow, so it's really good. Well, hardly anything else will grow.
And you just eat the leaves like spinach. Yes.
These ones we cook with spinach.
Sometimes
the young
when
ones you have like salad.
When the plants see we want to eat them, they disappear, the weeds.
Yeah, I know, it does that sometimes, yeah, I know.
Graeme, I'm going to race off.
Yes, very good.
It's been brilliant. Thank you so much.
Very good,
Yep.
thanks so much.
Food for the garden and food for thought.
Yes, very good, very good. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Do you know this?
Yeah, I know this. Yeah.
What is it in English?
Chinese cinnamon yam.
Oh, okay.
It's
That's
a
what you
yam
call it.
root.
A root, yeah, the root,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, right.
In the pots so that you can harvest them.
Yam. Or
Right.
is it also called Chinese cinnamon yam? Something to do with cinnamon? No.
No, they say that the flowers smell a little bit like cinnamon, but you have to stretch your imagination a bit.
that Chinese yam, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or air potatoes with a little
yeah.
nodules on
Is
it.
there a market here?
No, I got some seed. I had trouble getting it actually,
Yeah.
and then I'm just growing it for ourselves. Yeah.
You've been
Is it-
eating it?
In my other property, I grew it and ate it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But in the other property, I was growing it in the ground and I had trouble harvesting it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I found out this is really the only way to do
Yeah,
it.
you need a box or
Yeah,
something.
with
like
the
this.
they've got the very long.
Because the fat bit of the trouble with it, they break off
Yeah.
and it's all down the bottom. So unless you get the bottom bit, you've lost most of your crop.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it all sprouts the next year. What's left in the ground.
I don't-
Yeah, I haven't seen mounds done that like that so much.
So what we did here, this was kind of, we didn't purposely put raised beds in here.
Yeah.
What we did, but this is what we ended up as a byproduct. of our process, so which is a very good byproduct. But what we did is, when we did those food forests there, especially that last one we saw down there where I weeded out all the kikuyu, we had a lot of kikuyu. And at that time this was all gorse and blackberry.
Yeah.
So I just threw it over the fence in a big heap. And it got really big. And I didn't know what to do with it, so I put some black plastic over it. And then what happened is and we threw in some, then I thought, well, if we're going to put the black, and in fact Rachel was here at the time, and when she came up to do the workshop last time, 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, and so then I thought, well, if we're going to put the black plastic over and try and do something with it, I might as well put a bit of roadkill in there, and we put some citrus in, but it wasn't proper compost. We didn't do it, we just put all our rubbish in there, and things like dock seeds and all the things you wouldn't put in your compost heap.
Yeah.
And then we put the black plastic over it summer, and then it composted amazingly. We don't end up with what I really call compost. It's like very rich soil, and it's really light and friable. So it's just perfect for root crops like carrots and potatoes and kumara and stuff like that. Okay. And what we do now, we still continue doing this each year because it's so successful. We do one heap, and I did that one, and that was over 2 meters tall. So the secret is to have it big, at least 2 meters by 2 meters by 2 meters, and with the black plastic, and make sure the kikuyu doesn't sneak out and get some sun, or the outside kikuyu that's in the sun sneaks in. So I have this little trench, and then you can basically compost anything almost. But the two bigger branches I don't, because they'd have to sort of go through a second time.
Unless you mulch them or something there.
Yeah, we'll break them up a bit. So all those things you're scared to put in your compost heap, you can put into that. And it really heats up in there. And then by the end of summer, that will have gone down quite a lot more. And this was last year's heap here, and it was kind of here. And then I just spread it out into a bed. So I get a bed that big each year, a new bed big. But we have this really rocky soil, and like I say, it took 2 hours to dig a hole. The rocks we got from those holes, we made that stone wall there.
Yeah.
Those are the size rocks we're digging out with a pick.
Wow.
So in some ways this is less work than picking those out. And this is kikuyu, 80% kikuyu. So that's why I said kikuyu is an amazing resource. You just have to understand it.
Bloody gorse next door here, eh?
Yeah.
It does compost well,
Yeah.
but you just got to get it composted. Yeah.
And so here what I do it in autumn, and because I'm actually, this is not a food forest, this is monocropping. Although I do rotate a bit. You don't need crop rotation if you're doing food forest because you've got everything all together. Crop rotation is only if you're doing monocropping and you're trying to offset the disadvantages of that. But here I do rotate a bit, and here I do, in autumn I'll put some cow manure on top and put some grass, about that thicker grass clippings, just to give, and then that'll...
Manure also, Graeme? Liquids?
Oh, you could do, yeah.
Yeah. But
I just use cow manure. I do most of my composting. This is really, I have a worm farm, a small worm farm, and this, and the rest I do in situ. So if the bed's idle over winter, I'll put down some seaweed from the beach and some cow manure from our paddock there, from the cows, and some grass clippings on top, and basically do it in situ. And sometimes if a lot of the beds never have any, and most of our beds have stuff growing all year round, so when I do the pumpkins, you can in situ compost with the cow manure while the pumpkin's growing, because it likes it really rich. But with the brassicas, they don't like it too rich. That's why 6 months later I'm planting the brassicas into that, and it's already. But a lot of plants wouldn't like so much cow manure and stuff. But because we're taking a lot of stuff out of there, and I do put the cow manure on top as well as that. And each year I'll try and do that, because I don't usually crop this in winter. I might put a cover crop, or I just put the seaweed and cow manure.
Once the season's finished, are you taking everything that you've got from here and adding it to the top of your current pile?
Yes.
Okay, from the top down.
Yep. Yeah, that pile, there's a pile over there. That one's finished now, but the next pile is just behind that mound. I just build it up over a whole year.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing it all in one day or anything like that either, one time, like you'd do a hot compost. I just spend all year, it's just really not, just don't worry about any of the rules, just dump it there and get rid of it. But because it's so big and I'm putting the black plastic,
It heats itself up and it cooks everything.
yeah, it
That's
actually,
fine. Yeah.
everything I did wrong, not right to the books to get the optimum compost, that compensates for all that. Having at least 2 cube and having black plastic compensates for all that other stuff which I was just doing whatever I was doing.
Is there a reason for 2 cube?
I just find that works really good.
Yeah. Okay.
Normally I like my beds only about 1.2 wide, but I kind of, it's a bit narrow for the compost heap for this system, so I think, but the next one I'm doing is narrower because there's not enough room. I'll see how well I get compost. But certainly the bigger the heap, the better you are at composting the really difficult things to compost.
And they have that heat that continues to break things down, doesn't it? Is your other heat behind you?
It's just behind here, yeah. I'm sort of running out of space because I want to be able to drive through here, and I might want to put another row in there.
Oh, I see.
So this year I've got a bit of space here, and also the good thing about this space is I can go right down there a bit, but this actually gets the winter sun more than there.
Nice. So it keeps that continual heat year round. So by the time
So there I've only really got the 1.2, so which is a much better bed because I can reach to the middle.
in order to, so it's literally just old vegetative material,
Yes,
some cow manure, some seaweed here and there, and kikuya.
hardly any seaweed. No, it's 80% kikuya.
Right.
And some old stuff. And to make the lawns pretty, we kind of mowed them. So I've got extra grass clippings pruning. Normally we wouldn't do that. But we did do I mean, we like our place with lots of flowers and looking beautiful and look a bit of a park like. But I will admit for the garden trail, you know, like you get a bit sort of, oh, I must make it look nice for the garden trail. So we did rush around and do a little bit more than, it's stuff we would have done at some stage or another, but we don't normally do it all so that it's all at its prime, the whole place in one day.
So you've got mostly fruit trees here and citrus or fruit,
A lot of
fruits
stuff.
and apples and peach and
And then we've got sugar cane and cassamora, custard apple and tamarillo and
do you have pigs?
mulberry. No.
And this is all produce, or there's no cut flower gardens or anything that you do? You just
No.
primarily just produce?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't sell anything basically. There's a crop swap at several local towns, one in
Are you
Kawa.
completely full circle here? Where nothing, you don't need anything, you can come, it's a closed loop?
Basically,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Well done.
And we're going towards zero waste also, and we're pretty close to that. We put very little rubbish now.
Yeah.
And certainly no organic matter would go off the property. It's all dealt with on the property somehow or other. It's one of the very first things we kind of realised, that nothing should go off the property, basically. We kind of got this message. Nothing should leave the property. No waste. It's not waste. It shouldn't.
Keep putting it back into the
It
land.
has to come back here somehow. You have to use it somewhere on the land. And then once we committed to that, it was easy. Oh, well, we can do this heap.
Yeah.
That gets rid of all the stuff we didn't know what to do with. And then it comes back and we have these amazing raised beds, which are just really a byproduct of that committing to not taking stuff off the property.
Yeah. It's great.
Do you have a source of water here?
Just the roof water.
Just roof water.
So we don't irrigate anything except the bath.
No well.
No.
It's too deep in the ground.
We could, it's just too expensive
To do one.
to do one.
And also if you're mulching, like looking at your crab apple out the front with the comfrey underneath it,
Yeah, to the mulching.
retaining water.
Yeah. And you know, that there, which has been sitting in the sun, I did it for the last group. If you just take that grass clipping back, it's still moist underneath that grass clippings. So we just mulch everything, ideally with the living mulch, like the comfrey and that one over there we had the alpine strawberry, or the nasturtium. Nasturtium is not too good, unfortunately, because it kind of goes really well and then it sort of dies off a bit and then self-season comes back again. It's not too bad, but the comfrey and those are good. But then if not that, then if we've got bare soil, then I'll put the grass clippings.
Yeah.
And then the things like the carpet, I wouldn't never use weed mat because it's plastic. The carpet's not as bad as weed mat, but it is so, when we came here the first year and we're trying to do so much, it was just so practical. And we're recycling that carpet. It's old carpet, was going to be thrown away too. So we're just hoping that nature actually is quite forgiving, as long as you don't push it too far. And we're hoping we're not pushed it too far with the carpet, and that nature can cope with the little residue that might be left from those glues and stuff.
What do you give your beetroot to eat? Cow manure? What manure?
No, I didn't put anything on that garden.
You just stick it up, plant the beetroot.
Yeah,
And do you water it?
only when they're seedlings.
Oh, okay. And then you let them go. Because I can't even get mine to grow that big at home.
They like this light friable soil, especially the carrots.
And carrots don't like manure, is that right? The carrots not like manure?
Yeah, no, I heard that, but I wouldn't put it on here anyway.
No.
I just put the manure on there with the kumara and potatoes because we're really taking a lot of stuff out there. And I just tell you a little story. Like we're taking even like a bed like that, we're taking 11 kilos of kumara off 1 square metre.
Yeah.
And one year I was this bed here, I planted my kumara and I'd forgotten I'd already planted potatoes there. And I planted the red cucumber, and then the year before I'd had the gold cucumber in there, and that's self-seeded. So I had Kawini Murray potatoes, the purple kumara and the gold kumara all growing in the same bed without realising. So my normal approach to such a thing is, well, let's just see what happens. So I went inside to my partner Debbie and said, we may not have any kumara this year, that bed, because I'd forgotten I'd planted the potatoes there, and the other kumaras come up and the books tell me I'm not going to have anything. Now instead of normally we'd get like about 7 or 8 kilos of kumara at least and about 10 kilos of potatoes. In there I got 16 kilos of potatoes growing in cooperation with the kumara. My normal 7 kilos of red kumara and my normal 7 kilos of gold kumara. So that's 7 plus 7 plus, what did I say, 14 or something? 16. So something like 40 kilos per square metre. So it was just like, I thought, oh God, this cooperation is just like, and when I dug it up, it was really interesting because you could see they weren't competing, they were cooperating, because the potatoes were on the surface. And I had to put a bit more mulch on the surface so they didn't come out in the sun. So the potatoes, when I harvested, the potatoes were on the surface, and I took a bucket of potatoes off. So I just harvested a little bit of this bunch, and I got like a whole big bucket of potatoes. I thought, well, that's pretty cool. I dug down a bit more, and then just underneath the potatoes, there was the red kumaras. So they were the next layer down. And then the gold kumara, for whatever reason, was all around the outside, the edge. It just grew around the edge. So they all kind of worked out their little niche of where they should grow. They just cooperated. It was like they weren't all fighting each other in the soil. They were all kind of,
And with your potatoes, do you dig them all up when they're ready, when they die off, or do you just pick them up when you want them? Because how do you store?
Oh no, you normally dig them up when they're ready. We plant 3 crops: early crop, and middle crop, and a late crop.
Okay.
And then we store them just in banana boxes in the coolest room of the house. And the same with the kumara.
Yeah.
Then you do have to keep checking them to make sure there's not one that starts to go off. Like apples, one bad apple. You just have to keep checking them from time to time. But every time I use some, I just have a look through and make sure they're not going off.
Does the rocks have a meaning to you
No.
by default?
What happened there is, so sometimes what happens, so there's a trick to putting the mulch on. Not a trick, but if you want to put the mulch on to preserve the moisture, it's best to do it just after it's rained. So I look at the weather forecast and I see, right, we've got a big storm coming through, we're going to have 20-30 mil rain tomorrow. I get out and mow the lawn, and I keep the grass in these big wool sacks, which are about this big, but you can't keep them there very long because they'll start to go mouldy. So I do that the day before. The next day, hopefully it does rain like the weather forecast said. As soon as it stopped raining, I rush out and put the mulch on top to preserve all that water and trap it, especially in spring. In winter it's not so crucial, but at this time of year, in spring, if I'm going to mulch, I'll try and do it just after it rains. But sometimes what happens is it rains when I didn't expect it, and then I rush out with a big tarp over the ground. Say it rained and that was a bare ground and I was waiting to put mulch on it and it rained, then I don't want to cut the wet grass because it's really difficult. I'll go out and put a big tarp over it and put those rocks and hold it down to keep the moisture in for a day until I can get some dry grass to put on top. But that timing is crucial. If you put the grass on before it rains and then it rains, the grass,
it sucks all the rain.
Yeah, it won't soak through that mulch. Same as it won't go up, it won't go down either. And then it'll just sit in there and it'll just evaporate and you lost it all. You're worse off than if you hadn't mulched. So the timing is quite crucial actually. So sometimes my partner will say, right, can't cook dinner tonight, can't do anything else, I have to do this. And she says, what? You don't have to do it. I say, yes it is, the timing's crucial. But that's really when, at certain times of the year, in winter it doesn't matter about the timing because everything's moist. And
Do you lift your runners on the kumara?
that's a good discussion, I don't know. the lands,
It's covering the sides of the bed.
I at least get it to cover all the soil.
Yes.
I always let it cover all the soil, and whether I take more off or not, I don't know. The lands in the St. Francis farm, who grow most of the, about half of the New Zealand heritage kumara tipu seedlings in New Zealand, they say they prefer the runners to go because although the energy is going into those runners, all those runners will send down roots to get soil goodness out of different bits of soil, so they actually leave them. But other people say, well, no, you cut those off so the energy is not going into that. So you can do either. It's just try both.
The experiments are not valid in leaving the runner go or chop it.
Yeah, be interesting to do an experiment on, chop it in half and do it not in the other. But I think both probably work okay because if it runs, it gets goodness from that soil which compensates for the goodness it's taken. It's 51 and half of one and 50% of the other. I think both work just as well.
The squash does it in the same way and nobody cuts it off.
No, I don't cut my squash off. I'd only cut some squash off if it was grown somewhere where it was starting to shade something else and I'd cut it off.
I'm happy to see it though, they get more nutrients from another place. So it's...
And then also there's more leaves there to take photosynthesis and pump more stuff into the soil.
Would do this the same, the tomatoes would do the same.
Can you give me the car keys? I need to get some water.
Yeah, we should go and... You guys